Sound is one of the most integral parts of film.
You shall not pass!
Revolutionizing the way film is made since its inception in The Jazz Singer from 1927.
Goodbye. Don't cry.
All the way to today's superhero franchises.
I just want you to know, Cat, it's impersonal!
But who is responsible for the clashing sounds of sword fights? And the scurrying footsteps we hear on screen?
Okay, move through this crowd. Move through this crowd. Get under cover right now. Move through this crowd.
This is the World of Foley.
Get in the store. There's someone on your tail. Get in the store.
My name is Anthony Zeller, and I am a Foley mixer and Foley editor currently, and I'm also teaching at College of the Canyons in Valencia. So a Foley artist is someone that goes in and performs sound effects basically for film and television, usually unique things that you couldn't cut out of a sound effects library.
I forget the scenes. He's just walking there.
He's just walking and then she ends up sort of running into him
Okay.
at some point.
We recreate, or I should say the artist recreates footsteps on every surface, various shoes. Between him and I, me listening to what's coming through on the speaker and his knowledge, we find a way to make it work so that it will work and hopefully convince you that it never was replaced in the first place or added in the first place. It's actually a bit of a challenging job, but now that I've done it for the last, like I said, 12 years or so, it's evolved and I've gotten to a point where there's a system that makes it somewhat, I won't say easy, but there's a system that makes it flow quite well. I can get things done in a reasonable amount of time. The editing side of that is the things that I've won awards for. It's kind of ironic that they give me awards for editing when I'm actually doing everything, but I'll take what I can get.
We'll do a little bit of grass. We use 1/4-inch tape for grass because you can't really grow grass on the stage because it's watery. But, 1/4-inch tape works great for grass, just like what's behind you on the floor there. It's all 1/4-inch tape. So I'll do your horse feed over here, these coconuts.
A Foley stage, if you guys have never seen it, looks a little like a hoarder's garage, right? There's no real, well, I shouldn't say there's no organization because there certainly is, but there's everything you could possibly imagine. I mean, he's got toolboxes full of jewelry and old spent, artillery shells and makeup and, lipstick and eyeliner, all the things that you would need to recreate, a scene of somebody doing their makeup, or pots and pans and glasses and dishes and saucers and silverware and drawers to open and close that all have those things in there. I mean, if you walk in, it looks like a movie set basically full of trash. So, but usually well organized. So the creativity is certainly my favorite part. The difficult part's probably just the business end, right? Like everything else, you've got to deal with scheduling. You've got to deal with all the personalities in the room. Sometimes there's people you like working with, and sometimes there's people you absolutely dread working with.
So yeah, I use these paper clips for dogs' feet and gloves. Or cats, on the wood. On the wood sounds really good. I'll do it on the wood. Yeah, just little tricks. But you might come up with another idea. So that's what's cool with Foley.
if you listen to season 2 of Stranger Things, if you watch somebody ripping through a wall, or creatures sliming across the ground, or somebody getting ripped apart, God forbid, probably 50% of that was stuff that I recorded and edited, for what it's worth. If you remember the show, there was like, they called sort of the environment on the other side the upside down, right? They were at the school and they started sort of pulling apart what looked like sort of a gooey infestation on the wall, and it was all this like layered stuff that we did, that they were trying to, like, we were given little direction. You just said, we just want to make it sound as creepy and as disgusting as possible when they're ripping through this wall. It's a mixture of, like, I forget, wet chamois, obviously, for the gooey sound. He had really thin pieces of cedar that he would get wet and then crinkle up together, so it would make this kind of dull splintering sound as you went through. Even in live action stuff, there's 90% of that stuff's probably recreated, but in animation, oh my goodness, like the sky's the limit. And they're so involved. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of sound effects going on. Nuanced things you would never think of. It takes, years for people to put it together. And if I had to guess, 75% of what you're hearing, excluding the dialogue, is probably recreated. Very little is actually coming from a set, right? In fact, a lot of times they're replacing half the dialogue, So what we do is magic. To make a short story long, my across the street and good friend, neighbor, is an administrator here at COC, and we just happened to be talking on one holiday about teaching or something that he was concerned about at COC, and I said, oh, it'd be great to teach a class there someday, because I'm the old man in the room or whatever. He goes, oh, you can. We have adjunct teachers that come in and teach all the time. Called me up one day and just started shooting the poop about music in general and his history and my history, and he basically just asked me, hey, if something comes up, would you be willing to have an interview with everybody? And evidently I did well, because they asked me to teach this digital audio editing class this semester. If I want all 12 of these tracks basically to be routed to another track, in this case an auxiliary, right? I'm just going to create a stereo aux track. Students are more broad-minded, I think. Like, they just wanted to get to the point and get the work done, whereas here, it offers you guys more creativity, and I get to bounce things off of you. Plus, generationally, I'm a little separated from you guys, so it's actually good to see how technology's been affecting you in terms of, streaming and video content and everything that's going on in the world today. So it's sort of introducing me to new media as well, and I would say making me younger, perhaps. But if we set the bus to reverb 1, notice I already solo isolated here. Let's go ahead and create a reverb. Believe it or not, people in the industry always want to help, and I wouldn't necessarily mistake your persistence with annoyance, right? I hear that one all the time, is people say, well, I don't want to bother somebody. And there's obviously a difference between camping out on somebody's doorstep and sending emails about your enthusiasm over work they've done. And people love to be patted on the back. But knowledge is also key. If you don't know what you're talking about, then people will figure that out real quickly. So the most rewarding part of teaching so far, I guess, is knowing that I'm going to influence some young minds and some talent. And like I've always said, you never know who's going to be your next boss, so it could be you.